What if I told you there's a 9mm pistol out there that not only delivers reliable performance, but also boasts some innovative engineering that sets it apart from the rest? I'm Hank Carter, and today we're unboxing the Stoger Cougar 9mm, a gun that's been flying under the radar for way too long. Now, you know me, I've been in the gun game for over 30 years, and I've shot just about everything under the sun. Trust me when I say this, the Cougar 9mm might just surprise you. From its design to its performance, there's a lot to unpack here, and you won't want to miss a thing. Stick around as we dig into the features that make this pistol stand out and see how well it performs under real-world conditions. So let's dive into the unboxing. First impressions right out of the box, the Stoger Cougar feels like a tank in your hands. We got the essentials, the pistol itself, two 15-round magazines, a cleaning rod, and a basic gun lock. Nothing too fancy, but exactly what you'd expect. The first thing I noticed when I picked it up was the weight. This isn't a polymer-framed gun like the Glocks or M&Ps of the world. It's all metal, and it gives it that hefty, solid feel. If you're someone who likes a bit more heft in your hand, the Cougar is going to make you smile. The all-metal frame sets the tone for the kind of durability you can expect from the Stoger Cougar. You know, some pistols feel a little too lightweight and plasticky. That's not the case here. This is a gun that feels like it can handle a lot of wear and tear. And for those of us who put lots of rounds into our firearms, that's an immediate confidence booster. It's the kind of gun you can imagine tossing in your range bag, banging around a bit, and not worrying about whether it'll hold up. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk history for a second. The Stoger Cougar is actually a Beretta design. Originally, it was marketed as a Beretta 8000 series, but Stoger, a subsidiary of Beretta, took over production, keeping the design nearly identical while offering at a much more competitive price. So what's that mean for you? You're getting Beretta-quality engineering for a fraction of the cost. So if you ever wanted the Beretta craftsmanship but didn't want to break the bank, this is your chance. And trust me, that's something that's rare in today's gun market, where high-quality builds usually come with high price tags. Now, let's talk about what makes the Cougar really stand out, its rotating barrel system. Unlike most semi-autos, which use a tilting barrel mechanism, the Cougar's barrel rotates to lock and unlock. This system's designed to reduce recoil, and that's something we're going to put to the test when we get it out to the range. The concept here is that by rotating rather than tilting, the recoil impulse is more linear, which should theoretically make for a smoother shooting experience. For those of you who may not be familiar with different locking systems and handguns, this is a fairly unique design in modern pistols, and it's always fun to see these types of innovations work in practice. Plus, less recoil, better control, and who doesn't want that? The next thing I noticed was how comfortable the grip felt. It's got this nice ergonomic design, and the checkering is just right, grippy enough to keep a solid hold, but not so aggressive it's going to tear up your hands. If you ever shot a Beretta 92 FS, this will feel somewhat familiar, though the Cougar is slightly more compact, making it a better option for folks with smaller hands or those looking for something easier to carry. Stoger really nailed the balance between comfort and control here, especially for a gun that's a little on the heavier side. Speaking of carry, let's talk about the controls. The Stoger Cougar has ambidextrous decocking levers, which is great news for you lefties out there. However, the slide stop and mag release are only on the left side, so left-handed shooters may have a bit of a learning curve. The decocker also functions as a manual safety, which could be a plus or minus depending on your preferences. Personally, I think having that option is always a good thing, especially for those of you who are newer to shooting or just want to add that added layer of safety. You can choose to carry it cocked or locked, or simply rely on the decocker to drop the hammer safely. Either way, it's a nice feature to have, giving the user more versatility. Alright, let's get into the trigger. The Cougar operates on a double-action, single-action system, meaning your first shot's going to have a heavier, longer pull, followed by lighter, shorter pulls on subsequent shots. The double-action pull is smooth but definitely long, nothing to write home about, but it's perfectly functional for what it is. However, the single-action is where this gun starts to shine. Once you're in single-action mode, the trigger is crisp with a clean break that's actually pretty impressive for a gun at this price point. If you're someone who loves that satisfying snap of a good single-action trigger, the Cougar isn't going to disappoint. Now, let's stop talking about features for a minute and actually get this thing to the range. Because as much as I can tell you about the specs, it's how the gun performs that really matters. Right off the bat, I gotta say I'm impressed. The rotating barrel system really seems to make a difference when it comes to recoil management. It's not revolutionary, but there's noticeably less muzzle flip compared to the other pistols in the same category. What's that mean for you? Faster follow-up shots and less fatigue during longer shooting sessions. If you're new to shooting or just prefer a softer recoil, you're gonna definitely appreciate this feature. Let's talk about accuracy. At 15 yards, I'm consistently hitting tight groups without much effort. These sights are your basic 3-dot setup. Nothing flashy, but they do the job. If you're someone who likes to tinker and upgrade, you might be disappointed by the lack of aftermarket options for this gun. But as it stands, the sights work just fine for what the Cougar's designed for: reliable performance in home defense or range scenarios. Reliability is a big factor for me, and I know it's a big factor for a lot of you out there. So how does the Stoger Cougar hold up after a few hundred rounds? I'm happy to report it doesn't miss a beat. I ran everything through it, from cheap steel case ammo to high defensive rounds, and didn't experience a single jam or failure to eject it. That's pretty impressive, especially for a gun in this price range. If you're looking for something that's going to run when you need it, I'd say Cougar is more up to the task. One thing I will say, though, is that the Cougar isn't the lightest pistol out there. At about 32 ounces unloaded, the thing has some heft to it, which could be a pro or a con, depending on how you plan to use it. For me, that extra weight translates to less felt recoil and better control, especially in rapid-fire situations. But if you're looking for something to carry all day, every day, you might find the weight to be a bit much. For a home defense or range use, though, the weight is actually an advantage. Now, nothing's perfect. There are a few things about the Cougar that could be better. For one, the takedown process is a little more complicated than what you'd find on some more modern designs. It's not difficult, but it does take more time and effort. You gotta push the button on the right side of the frame, rotate the takedown lever, and then pull the slide forward. Not a big deal, but if you're used to something like a Glock, it might feel a little bit clunky. Another thing to consider is the lack of aftermarket support. If you're someone who likes to customize your guns with different sights, triggers, or other upgrades, you might be a bit disappointed here. The Cougar just doesn't have the same level of aftermarket parts available as more popular guns like the Glock 19 or Smith & Wesson M&P. So if customization's a big deal for you, you're going to want to keep that in mind. One more thing that stood out during our testing, the Stoger Cougar eats all kinds of ammo. Cheap stuff, premium defensive rounds, even some more questionable reloads. I threw everything I had at it, and the Cougar just kept chugging along. In today's ammo market where availability is hit or miss, having a gun that's not picky about what you feed it is a big-time advantage. You're not going to be wasting time or money hunting down specific brands or grains of ammo because the Cougar handles it all. So wrapping things up, what's the verdict on the Stoger Cougar 9mm? Well, for around $400, you're getting a lot of guns for the money. The Beretta-quality engineering, the unique rotating barrel system, and the solid all-metal frame all make this gun stand out. It's reliable, accurate, and built to last. Sure, it's not the most customizable gun on the market, and it might be a little heavy for everyday carry, but for what it's designed to do, home defense, range use, or even as a truck gun, it excels. If you're someone looking for a budget-friendly option that doesn't sacrifice quality, the Stoger Cougar should definitely be on your radar. It's not the lightest or flashiest gun out there, but what it lacks in modern features is that it more than makes up for solid, dependable performance. That being said, if you're looking for something super lightweight or packed with aftermarket potential, this might not be the gun for you. The Cougar's a bit of a niche product. It excels in specific areas, but it's not the most versatile gun out there. However, if you're like me and just appreciate a reliable, well-built firearm at a great price, then you're probably going to love the Stoger Cougar. Now, before we go, I got to mention that a competitor of mine likes to say, and honestly, I couldn't agree more, clicking the like and subscribe button is free, but it helps a ton in producing more videos like this. So if you like this video and found it helpful, make sure to hit those buttons down below. It really supports the channel and keeps the content coming. Also, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever shot a Stoger Cougar before, or are you thinking about picking one up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.